Today, I want to tell you a story that's as old as time and as relevant as this very moment. It's the story of the Conference of the Birds, a masterpiece of Persian literature by Farid Attar, the great Sufi poet and mystic. Written in the 12th century, it's a tale about birds, but it's really about us, our doubts, our fears, and the call that we all feel somewhere deep inside to seek something greater. Attar's The Conference of the Birds begins with a gathering of birds from all over the world. They're restless, longing for a leader, a guide, someone to unite them. The hoopoe, a wise and humble bird, steps forward and tells them of the sea morgue, a mythical, divine bird that lives beyond the 7 valleys. The sea morgue will answer all your questions, the hoopoe says, but the journey will test you in every way imaginable. This is where our story begins, and it's where we begin too. Because when we hear the hoopoe's call, it doesn't sound so different from the whisper we've all felt at some point in our lives, the call to something greater. It's that inner nudge that tells you there's more to life than chasing after comfort or success, that there's a deeper truth waiting to be discovered. But let's be honest, most of us ignore it. It feels too risky, too unknown. The birds in the story feel the same way. They hesitate. We're not strong enough, says one. I have too many responsibilities, says another. Each bird offers an excuse, clinging to their attachments and fears. But the hoopoe doesn't back down. Patiently, gently, he reminds them that the journey isn't about adding anything to their lives. It's about letting go. You don't need to bring anything with you, he says. You only need to bring yourself, and even that, you'll leave behind. This brings us to the heart of the story, surrender. The Conference of the Birds is about surrender, not just of worldly possessions or attachments, but of something deeper, the idea of a separate self. What does it mean to surrender in this way? It's not weakness. It's not giving up. It's a radical act of trust, a letting go of the illusion of control. When you surrender, you're not losing yourself. You're dissolving the barriers that keep you from seeing what you've always been. The birds take up the challenge and begin their journey, crossing the 7 valleys, each one representing a stage of spiritual transformation. There's the Valley of Love, where they must give up their old attachments and desires. There's the Valley of Knowledge, where their beliefs and assumptions are stripped away. In the Valley of Unity, they begin to see that the distinctions between self and other, between here and there, are illusions. Each valley challenges them, breaks them, and remakes them. One by one, the birds fall away. Some give up in fear. Others cling to their doubts or their comforts. In the end, only 30 birds make it to the end of the journey. Exhausted, humbled, and transformed, they arrive at the place of the sea morgue. And here's where the story takes its most breathtaking turn. The 30 birds don't find the sea morgue as they expected, a great, powerful being who would reward their efforts. Instead, they find a mirror. In that mirror, they see their own reflection, their own faces. The sea morgue isn't outside of them. It is them. It is the 30 birds together as one. In that moment, they realize the truth. The divine they were seeking, the sea morgue, was never separate from them. It was their own collective being all along. This is the climax of the story and its greatest teaching, the search for the divine, for enlightenment, for meaning. It's not about finding something outside yourself. It's about discovering that the thing you seek is what you already are. But here's the twist. In discovering this, the seeker dissolves. There is no you apart from the truth. There is no me separate from the divine. The 30 birds disappear into the unity of what they've always been. The sea morgue is a perfect metaphor for this. The name itself holds a clue. Sea morgue in Persian means 30 birds. The very thing they sought was their own essence, but it took the journey to see it. It's the same for us. We spend our lives searching searching for happiness, for fulfillment, for purpose. But the truth is, we already are what we seek. The journey doesn't add anything to us. It strips away the illusions, the fears, and the false identities that keep us from seeing what's already here. This is why surrender is so important. It's not about giving up control to something outside of you. It's about giving up the illusion that you were ever separate to begin with. When you surrender, you stop fighting against life. You stop trying to hold on to an identity, a role, a story. You allow life to flow through you, and in that flow, you discover a unity that has no boundaries. The hoopoe, the guide in the story, is the voice of that inner call, the call to begin the journey. It's the same call we all hear, though we often ignore it. It whispers to us in moments of stillness, in moments of pain, in moments of longing. It tells us there's something more. And just like the birds, we hesitate. We're afraid to let go. But the call doesn't go away. It stays with us, patiently waiting until we're ready to take that first step. So what does this story mean for us? It's a reminder that the journey to find meaning, truth, or the divine isn't about going somewhere far away. It's about coming home to yourself. And in coming home, you realize that the self you thought you were, the one who needed to control, to prove, to seek, was never real. You've always been the sea morgue. You've always been whole. In our modern lives, this story speaks to the relentless pursuit we often find ourselves caught in, the pursuit of success, validation, or some distant ideal of happiness. We're told from every direction that fulfillment lies just a little further ahead, in the next promotion, the next achievement, or the next self-improvement plan. But Attar's story reminds us that this chase is rooted in a misunderstanding. The wholeness we seek isn't waiting in the future or hidden in some far-off goal. It's here now in the very fabric of our being. The journey isn't about adding more to our lives. It's about peeling away the layers of striving and separation that keep us from seeing the truth of who we already are. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, this is a radical and healing message. Stop running, stop grasping. Come home to the unity that has always been your essence. The journey isn't to change you. It's to show you what you've always been. And when you see that, when you truly see it, there's nothing left to do but offer yourself completely to the unity of life, knowing that you were never separate from it. Not for a single moment.